Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Thursday and I have a new video for you guys. I'm going to be refashioning this men's shirt which I got for $3. It's this beautiful smoky gray color. I really fell in love with the pattern on this shirt and I had to refashion it into something. And the fact that this shirt had no pockets inspired me to go crazy, explore the wild side and make a skirt, and that's exactly what I decided to make. So in the end, I ended up with this beautiful skirt. Look at that. It fits like a glove, honey, and I really love how it turned out. I think it's super beautiful, and you can pair this with a blazer and a blouse and go to the office with it, or you can tone her down and just wear it with a crop top and do the dishes. Who knows? Whatever your busy day entails, I promise you're going to find use for this skirt. And I just love the pattern on this. So I had to go back in with some dots to take in the waist, and that's what you're seeing at the back, but we'll get into that. For now, let me show you how to make this fabulous skirt. So as usual, my shirts come with a curved edge, and I needed to even this baby out, make sure she was straight and in check. That way we'd have no problems when we were crossing the border further up, okay? So I just went in with my ruler, drew a straight line with my chalk, and then cut off the excess bit of fabric at the bottom. After that was done, I also decided to get rid of the sleeves because I did not need them in this project. I did, however, keep them as I'm hoping to find something to do with them. I hate wasting fabric, and yeah, I just kept them. But everything else in this shirt was utilized. Very little fabric was left, and I was done with this project. After the sleeves were gone, I decided to take apart the shirt and also cut up the sides. That way I'd have the front and back side separate and I could work on them at different times. So after I'd separated the front and the back bit, I took a skirt I love the fit of, and I'm just going to use this as a template. And all I'm doing, taking my measuring tape, I just measured 1 inch from the skirt. This is to provide seam allowance. Because we're not working with stretchy fabric, you need this to fit you right. So I just decided to be safe and add 1 inch with my tape measure, and then I went in and free-handed everything eventually. So yeah, I decided to just go with it, and yeah. And by just going with it, I drew markings around my skirt just to make sure we had sufficient material that would cover our front side. Once that was done, I decided to cut out that bit of fabric, and after this is done, we're going to have the front bit of our skirt. You can definitely leave it at this if you want to just have a front-sided skirt, but I do advise to cut out the back as well, which we're going to do in a second. I took my sweet time and made sure this skirt looked right, honey. So after I'd cut that out, I was left with this bit of fabric, and my shirt had dots that ran through the front, which added some exciting detail to my skirt, so I wasn't mad about that. But all I'm doing now is I'm folding the bit in half, that way I can cut out 2 back pieces because we need to have 2 pieces, as we'll be attaching a zipper as this is not stretchy fabric. So I just folded it in half, and with the remaining bit of shirt material, I just cut out the back completely, that way I could have the front bit to work with, and it was just easier for me that way. So laying out that front bit, as you can see, we have the button placket running right through the middle of our shirt. So I decided to just maximize this. I was going to cut out the back pieces from each side of the button placket. So as you can see, I just lay out my bit of folded skirt, front bit that is. I folded it in half, lay it on top, and cut out a piece that was similar to it. I made sure to even everything out, that way the pieces were identical. And after that was done, we now had 1 back piece and the front bit. So I lay out the back piece on the other side of the button placket, and I used it as a template to cut out the second back piece. And once that was done, we had 2 back pieces and 1 front bit. So taking the front bit, she looks fabulous, we love her. I'm just going to lay the back pieces right side kissing, that way I can join them together and make a skirt. So as you can see, I'm just spinning along the sides, that way I can easily sew everything down. and I just repeated this with the other back piece as well. Right sides kissing, pinned everything down, that way I could easily sew the pieces together. So I've learned to pin horizontally because it makes it easier to sew. I don't have to take out the pins while sewing. That's a tip for you in case you always have to take out the pins. Just pin horizontally and you don't have to bother taking them out because the machine needle just glides through the pins, and it's such a helpful tip because the fabric also does not move around. Always remember to backstitch your projects because backstitching is essential, otherwise your project will come undone. Once sewn down, that's what it looked like, and I also decided to go into the fancy zigzag stitch, which is stitch number 7 on the Brother CS6000I, and this is going to act like an overlocker, like a serger, just to make sure the fabric doesn't fray, and that's what it looked like. I repeated this on both sides, that way we had a nice and cute 3-piece skirt. It's not a skirt yet, but it's getting there. Now moving on to the bit of curved edge we cut out from the bottom, I just measured 9 centimeters and cut out a bit of fabric that was as long as I could possibly get from this piece. Once we had our 9 centimeter thick piece, that's what she looked like. I needed to combine a few pieces together to make a waistband that was enough to go around my waist. I did eventually make this bigger, so I do advise you make exactly your waist measurement, maybe with like an inch for seam allowance, but that's it. I went overboard and added about 3 inches, which eventually made the waistband of my skirt really big, so you do not need that. All I did at this point was join the pieces together to form one long piece that would eventually form the waistband of my skirt. I also made sure to overlock the edges of the waistband, that way it wouldn't fray on me. And now all I'm doing with the right sides kissing is I'm pinning the edge of the waistband to the edge of the skirt, at the top that is. And all you're going to do is sew across the pins to attach the bottom of the waistband to your skirt. I also quote unquote overlocked the sides of the skirt, that way the fabric wouldn't fray on me too much. After everything was sewn down, as you can see, the bottom of the waistband is attached to the top of your skirt and you're almost there. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the skirt inside out. That way I can fold in the waistband on the inside and we have a clean and neat waistband. So all I'm doing is I'm making sure the overlocked edge is going inside. That way the fabric doesn't fray on me too much. This shirt was fraying so much, I had to find a solution to that. And my solution was to zigzag stitch the edges and make sure they were well hidden inside the fabric, that way they wouldn't come out. So all I'm doing, as you can see, is I'm folding in that overlocked edge, making sure to tuck it in and then pinning it in place, that way I can easily sew my waistband onto my skirt. So I definitely took my time with this because I wanted my waistband to be even. Just make sure you're folding in an even bit of fabric. That way you don't have a waistband that looks weird and wonky. So take your time with this. Just fold in the edge, make sure it's tucked in, pin it in place. And when it comes to sewing, your job is going to be much, much easier. When I got to the edge of my waistband where there was a bit of fraying, I just made sure to tuck her into the waistband, pin that in place, that way she wouldn't come out peeking when she was uninvited and she would stay inside. And now all you're going to do is sew across the pins, this way your waistband will be fully attached to your skirt. So when I moved to the sewing machine, as you can see, I am sewing on the inside and I'm just sewing straight across the pins. You need to make sure your stitch is as straight as possible because this will show on the other side, which is the outside of the skirt. In case you're bad at sewing in a straight line, just use your seam guide and you should be fine. Otherwise, I do recommend doing a top stitch, that way everything is nice and straight and you can see exactly where you're sewing. This needs to be super neat, especially if your thread is different colored from your fabric. In my case, I was using black thread on gray fabric and as you can see, it showed on the outside. Once the waistband was sewn on, this is what she looked like. I liked her. She was welcome to the party now. And as you can see, what I'm doing now is I'm just hand sewing that edge, the frayed edge that I tucked in. I'm just hand sewing it so that it doesn't come undone and frays up my whole waistband. So I did this by hand. I am terrible at hand sewing, but I was able to do this because it's quite minimal sewing and just do whatever you want. I'm not the best at it, but it looked decent and that's all that mattered to me. Once I've done that, it's now time to close up the skirt because you obviously want this to go around your body and not expose everything to the world. So as you can see, all I'm doing is I close up the skirt and I have a zipper that I'm going to attach to my skirt. So I just place that on the back edge just to get a rough idea on how long the space needed for the zipper would be. I marked the piece of chalk and then I sewed everything that was below my marking. So as you can see, I just did a basic straight stitch, and once I opened up my skirt, I lay it flat, made sure to iron down the seam open, that way I could easily take this all the way up. And as you can see, I'm just folding up the fabric up to where I did not even sew. This is to just make sure everything lays flat, that way when it comes to attaching your zipper, everything is nice and easy. So as you can see, I'm just grabbing the fabric and just laying it flat, ironing it down. That way everything will look nice and finished. You'll see in a minute. So once I flipped this the right way out, as you can see, this is what the back looks like, and you can easily fold in the edge because of the ironing. So the ironing definitely does help a lot. And what I'm doing now is I'm inserting the zipper on the inside, pinning it in place. This will make it easier for me to sew. I made sure to open her up just to make it easier to attach to both sides of my skirt. That way this zipper would look nice and profesh. So I'm the worst at sewing zippers. I'm honestly terrible at it. So I just did a basic stitch that I'm showing you to do around your zipper. I did not do it quite well. I panicked midway. I started the stitch over, but you're supposed to do one continuous stitch from one side to the other. I'm still practicing with zippers. This is actually my first project with a zipper, and I think it turned out quite decent, and that's all that mattered. So I just did a straight stitch around the edge of my zipper. A zipper foot definitely helps because it helps you stay on the edge of your fabric, but if you don't have one, just use your regular foot and you'll be fine. I backstitched because I wanted this to stay on, and the zipper was functional, it looked cute, and to me it was okay. Moving on to the last and final step, I'm going to double hem the bottom of my skirt. As you can see, the fabric is fraying up on me quite a bit, and to prevent this, I just decided to double hem the bottom. Of course, if you have a serger, you can just go in with it and hem your fabric as normal, but since I don't have a serger, all I'm doing is I'm folding in my fabric twice and then stitching all the way around the bottom of my skirt. So what this does, it just prevents fraying. Fraying can shorten the lifespan of your project so much, so I highly recommend you prevent it at all costs. She is not welcome to the party, she's cancelled. But as you can see, once everything is nice and hemmed, it looks so neat, so professional, which is something we really go for on this channel. And the last and final bit that I did not show is I took in the waistband using some dots. I followed with Wendy's tutorial. I'm going to link it down below in case you need to take in the waist of your skirt as well. I, however, do recommend you cut out a waistband that fits you. That way you don't have to do this extra step. If it's unnecessary, if you don't have to do it, then avoid it at all costs. Don't be like me and add too many inches to your waistband. Anyway guys, we have sadly come to the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed watching it. Let me know if you're going to be trying this DIY. I think it's super fabulous and it gives you a beautiful skirt to add to your closet. And the fact that this cost $3 is mind-blowing, and I'm so pleased with how this came out. Anyway guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really enjoyed your company. I hope I'll be seeing you in my next video, which will hopefully be pretty soon. Until then, look fabulous in your new skirt as you wash the dishes, because who says you can't look fabulous AF when washing the dishes? See you guys next time. Bye.